Good morning. My name is Mike Kelleher. I am the supervisor for the effects team. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the effects you see inside the Cataclysm cinematic. The first time I think my supervisor and I looked at the storyboards that Mark had drawn, I think we actually laughed out loud. I may have cried a little bit. We have never, ever attempted anything like this before. It's just the sheer scale and size of some of these cinematics was just extremely daunting. There were going to be a lot of big challenges here. I think even at one point we actually asked seriously to the team, like, you're not joking, right? This is what we're going to do. And no, we very much wanted to do this. So I took the storyboards and I took it to the team and I showed it to them. They had a few mild concerns, and they provided some really, really positive feedback. Then we got to work. So today I want to talk about two different shots. The first one is Thousand Needles, and the second one after that is Curtain of Fire over Dark Shore. The Thousand Needle shot actually was really initially a very, very different looking shot. The wave was going to actually tower above us, as you can see here in this side view, and then come crashing down on our camera position. And that was going to be challenging just to maintain the level of detail from the top of the wave all the way down to where the camera was. So we started to think a little bit about how to change that shot. Here's an example of the bathtub idea. The wave would come in from the back of the canyon, come careening across one of the walls, smash into the other side of the canyon, and eventually overcome our camera position. This sounded a lot more detailed. The wave would be in the back. We would just have to deal with the skirt. Here you can see this great color script concept from our concept team that we started working with. So we started development with that. Here's an example of our one of our initial particle passes, just that skirt that I talked about of wave water. And it's pretty good, but there was a concern that the particle count was beginning to get a little tiny bit crazy. Here's another example of the entire skirt as it approaches camera. And I think at the end of this this one right here, the particle count gets to be about 12.5 million particles, and we're only about halfway to camera position at this point. So that was a little bit frightening. That gets worse in the sense that these particles are actually not spray or mist or anything like that. It's more of just we're going to smooth those out, and those will become the surfaces of this water. As you can see here in this example, even at 12 million particles, it just wasn't the detail level that we needed it to be. Those mesas in the front are 250 feet tall. The big ones are 1,000 feet tall. Plus, we're having an enormously difficult time keeping textures on it. We had this spray here that needed to be emitted from parts of the wave, and when we actually tried to put foam textures on top of that, they would slide and slip, as you can see in this example. I thought it was cool, but the director rejected my, hey, what if we fill Thousand Needles with saltwater taffy concept? Still think it's neat. So what did we do? We had this huge problem. Well, the answer was we actually changed the shot. Here's an animatic, just rough animatic of what we wanted to do. You can see here there have been a lot of changes. We're a lot closer to the wave. The camera is tilted up so we don't have to worry so much about that skirt. This is just a rough animatic to get an idea so we can start the conversation about what we wanted to do. Here's a flushed out model with some of the amazing modeling that Seth and his team did. Just a little bit further down the line, sort of talking about what we were going to do with this wave. And this really, really opened up the shot. It made it feel a lot more dynamic, more dangerous. The viewer was not going to get out of that canyon in time. So this was the approach that we went for. And I think this is just a great example of how things changed at Blizzard. The shot, modified over time, and I think we ended up with a better shot. So now that we were going to hit that wave's going to hit that mesa so close, we knew we were going to have to really focus on that interaction. This is some technology we started developing for that. Mere particles or dots wasn't going to hold up. We needed to feel that volume of spray. The spray might be 200, 300, maybe 500 feet tall. So this is just an example that's been put into a waterfall form when we started using it there. Every effect shot is made up of a lot of different layers, so I just wanted to break this one down for you. Here we go, that's the final shot. Here's the initial wave with some of the texturing and undercurrent. There's some foam surfaces on top, some reflection, and finally we get to our particle passes. Then we start working about maybe trying to integrate that wave into this wonderful world of Thousand Needles. Here comes the spray. A little bit of color wash, foreground rocks, a little more spray, and then we cover the entire thing with a giant wave of water. No, it's awesome. It's a great shot. And since this is Cataclysm, why have one tidal wave when you can have two? So I wanted to also break down Booty Bay for you, just the same sort of thing. Here's the wave, some of the foam texturing. Interestingly, we could never actually get the foam to look right, so we finally ended up going to shoot some photographic foam off the coast and then stitching this giant map together to cover the entire wave, and that seemed to work. Spray for the boat, here's our surfaces, and goodbye, Booty Bay. Well, I want to talk about one other shot, which was the curtain of fire today. This is going over Dark Shore. As Seth mentioned in his presentation, Deathwing is huge. He's, if you spread his wings out, he's about 1,200 foot from wingtip to wingtip. We knew that we were going to have this curtain of fire that was raining destruction on the lands as he flew over them, and that was going to be a really big challenge, trying to maintain that level of detail for a Deathwing to convey his scale. How do you make a 1,200 foot curtain of fire? Well, initially we tried some sprite techniques as Deathwing flies over. He's flying about a mile in this shot, and sprites are just simply 2D cards with little cloud pictures on them. You can sort of see that here as he flies over. It wasn't really working. It wasn't giving us the detail that we needed, that we come to expect from Blizzard Cinematics. And I liked it. I thought it was at least initial in another part, but again, the director rejected my Deathwing spread sunshine and rainbows concept. The life of effects concepts. So this wasn't working. It was a really big problem. So what were we going to do? We decided to actually try a fluid sim. Fluid sims, this is an example of a fluid sim here. Fluid sims you see everywhere in film and cinematic production. They're not just meant for fluids, they're meant for fire, smoke, explosions, you name it. We even push our particles like embers through fluid sims so that they have more realistic motion. This was an example that we did there, and once we applied it to Deathwing, we got a lot better result right off the bat. You can see that right here. It's starting to feel very realistic, starting to feel like it's in the right world and the right scale. The final sim for Deathwing was huge. That was our big concern. It was over 40 gigabytes per frame to finish off this fluid sim, which is about 2.5 times the size of the WoW install on your computer. That's per frame, so if you wanted to download the entire thing to your hard drive, it would take about a year on a cable modem. So lastly but not least, we have the breakdown again. Here comes the fire final shot. Let's wipe it back. Here's our lovely matte painting, putting it into the right world. There's our fire. Here's our water, which we also did in effects. Foam textures, a little bit more color, a great set by our environmental modeling team. Embers spray off the piers, small little bits coming off the shingles, and finally the entire shot. So that's it. Now, I was very happy that Cataclysm, thank you. Thank you. I was really happy that we got to do some amazing effects for Cataclysm, put them front and center, make them almost characters themselves. But as Mark mentioned, we were unable to really do the characters that we wanted to. And so now I'm going to hand it off to Taryn Greger, who's going to show you some amazing stuff from the in-game modeling team.